Hey, my name's Tony Ray. This is Donatelli.
I'm Pappy.
And I'm Sunshine.
And this is Strange Tales.
Strange Tales? And you are listening to Strange Tales from Outer Space. Let's start the show. Yeah!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Strange Tales from Outer Space. My name is Krug. I have with me Indigo and Doc, kind of. Weird story about him. Right before we started, his daughter cut her foot. Awkward. His daughter cut her foot, and so he's tending to that like a good father would. And so we're going to start without him, because we like starting on time. So I guess we will just start with Indigo. How was your week?
So my week was pretty good. Not too much in game. I popped in, did a couple dailies, did a couple levels, but I have this strange thing going on right now, and I wonder if you are having the same issue. Is that I don't want to go in game and play a tremendous lot right now because there's so much change like right around the corner that like I have my characters that because I'm a leveler. I'll admit it. I love leveling characters, but I know that in a month or so, they're going to be doing this changeover where, as a subscriber, I'm going to have this huge advantage, and it's going to make leveling funner and easier.
Well,
and so,
at the very least, easier. Hopefully, funner.
Well, I mean, I'm implying funner would imply with more people.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, that's understandable. Yeah, it does. It does to me feel like a little bit of a waste. I mean, the only thing I can really justify to myself doing in game right now is getting money, because I know that once the free-to-play change happens, I'm gonna need to do a whole bunch of stuff, like re-rune everything and you know, buy a bunch of gear and I don't know, whatever else I'm gonna do with my money. There's probably gonna be a lot more stuff on the auction house once free-to-play people come in and start leveling. So I'm gonna want a big chunk of money. So I have been in game a little bit. Not a little bit. I've been in there like 3 or 4 times this week, but I haven't been really doing much. I've really just been kind of grinding money. That's kind of been what I've been up to.
Yeah, I think this is the problem with the play style of the quarterly updates is that you get in these upward ramps like right when a launch happens, and then you get this kind of downward slump right before the next patch happens. You're just like, all right, I'm just gonna wait for the new content. I'm just gonna chill here for a little bit. Chill here.
It's like if you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like getting the food and you're eating, and you see like some really delicious food that you want to eat, but it's been like out there for a while, and you'd like, oh man, there's like a little bit left, so they haven't changed the like bowl yet. But so if I just wait for a little bit, I'm not gonna have the food that I like, but I'll have fresh food slightly later that I'll get to enjoy more. That's kind of my analogy. Okay. Was that a good analogy? Was that like my first good analogy of the whole podcast?
I'm not gonna confirm or deny that. But outside of game, just been work, doing tons of work. We're actually going to be. I'm glad Doc has pants on this time.
For those of you listening in audio world, Doc just came back. Apparently his computer's on the ground because he was straddling his camera and you could just see his crotch like full screen.
It was my virtual teabag to you. How's it going, gentlemen?
Good. How are you? How's your daughter, buddy? She doing okay?
Just fine. We're having a birthday party for my nephew here today, and I guess she fell and a piece of a thistle caught her foot.
Ooh.
Bleeding a little bit. She's fine, and she's 4 years old and thought it was the end of the world.
Of course.
Luckily, I'm daddy, so I was able to patch it up for her, and now she's back out and running within like 2 minutes.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
That's how that works with that. And since you're joining us now, how was your week?
My week? Man. So I kept my job.
Good. That's probably the best fucking week you could have right there.
So the question is, if you're the last one left in your department, does that make you the manager by default?
No, I can tell you from experience that the answer to that question is no, because same boat, bro.
So that's kind of what happened. So now I'm all by myself. I'm not even like now fearful for my job. I'm the only man left in a store full of like 200 people.
What? Your store has 200 people?
Yes, I'm the only IT person there.
Wow, I thought my life sucked. I have like 68 users.
Yep, I got a ton. So I've been very busy this week, and I played a little bit of WildStar this week. I got some more. I finally got my beloved with StarCom Basin. There we go. And I've been kind of reading up on the major news of this week, which we'll be getting into shortly. So I'm just kind of tired. I'm relaxed. I'm happier than I have been the last few weeks. I'm ready to fucking tear into this thing. Did you guys already go over your weeks in review?
I still have to do mine.
I have, but yeah, Kirk hasn't.
My week was pretty fucking great. I had a very productive week at work. Productive.
Wait. Did you just say?
Even though I just said fuck like maybe 2 minutes ago. I had a really good week. I had a really productive week at work. I got a lot of stuff done. I had a really productive week in gaming. I started playing Skyrim again because I never actually finished Skyrim. So I'm playing through Skyrim, and I'm going to finish it before Fallout 4 comes out. That's my goal. And I already talked about my stuff I was doing in WildStar, mostly getting money because that's what I want. And I'm on vacation as of Friday for a week, so I don't have to go to work next week, and that makes me very, very happy. You probably see that I'm all glowy and happy and actually shaved because I don't have to see work people. And I actually care what other people think about the way I look. I don't, actually. Anything else happened to me? I got a new phone. I got a Nexus 6. Kadoosh, it's super awesome. Nice. That's pretty much my week. Also, I have a cookie.
You do realize eating food is probably the worst thing to do on a live show with an audio component being the pride. Never mind.
Anyways, Doc, you wanna take over from here?
Yeah, definitely. So we're going into the strange tales of this week.
Oh, I love that voice.
Once again, it's that sultry, sexy voice.
All over
So,
my body.
I guess we got an early Christmas present, but the Carbine giveth and the Carbine taketh away, and I'll explain shortly. So we got a deep dive. Do you guys know what that means?
Updates.
It is where Nope, that's inappropriate. Not gonna say it.
Nope, say it.
Keep going.
Say it.
So historically in this game, it's been about a little over a year. Every time we got a deep dive, every time we got a more in-depth look in the game, whether it's video or written, that means a playable version of this coming content will be up soon. Whether that means a few weeks or another month or so, it's typically within that range historically. That might change because Drop 6 is going to be massive. Either way, we got a deep dive on the combat stat revamp.
Yes.
Not only was it just an official thing from Carbine, ZAM and MMORPG also had articles. MMORPG did a quick recap, kind of like what we're going to do. And ZAM had a quick interview with Stephen Engel, who was the primary writer on this deep dive. So let's just get right into this, and then we'll go into... Feel free to interject instead of doing a whole let's do our thoughts afterwards, because this is a big one.
I will.
This is a huge one. And if you have any questions in chat, feel free to ask them. I think we'll be taking them for this since it's such thick, not technical material, but I mean,
it's just a nice big bunch of news.
It's information. Awesome. Yeah, it's just information.
So here are the major takeaways that you guys got to realize. All the fancy names for stats that we've grown to love and or hate, like Moxie, Tech, Grit, they're pretty much gone. So the only ones that are going to stay alive, the only primary stats, these are the stats that'll grow with you as you get gear, without having to add anything extra to it, will be Assault/Support Power, Armor, Health, Shield Max, PvP Power, and PvP Defense. So basically, the main PvE style stats, they've been changed. But the PvP style stats of Power and Defense, they have not changed at all. So if you guys are, if you're listening to this and you like the PvP or are curious about it, whatever's currently in live is going to transition to the free-to-play, or Drop 6. So we're just going to have those primary stats, 1, 2, 3, 4. Assault and Support have rolled into 1. It's just called Assault/Support Powers being the main word. There are... So they took away all these extra stats, like Moxie and Tech and Finesse and all their secondary things like this will give you Strike Through and everything else. They've now moved them into their own secondary stats. Now, you know how you guys have complained that we have, and I've complained as well, that we may have one too many currencies, and that MMOs are split apart and have way too many kind of extra bits and baubles to them? You want to guess at how many secondary stats there are in this game right now as of Drop 6?
Dude, it's too much.
I'm gonna throw this out there. Way more than the number of currencies.
Yeah, it's 24. We have 24 secondary stats on top of the primary stats.
Woof.
Mind you, these it's not that these stats didn't... I mean, there's some new stats, but a lot of these stats existed before, but they weren't things that you could directly put in. Like, you would put Moxie in, and Moxie would affect...
Maybe Strike or Crit.
Yeah. So, all right, keep going.
So I think before we get into that stuff, we should kind of talk about, I think something we didn't address last time, which is players will no longer be able to increase assault or support power through runes.
Yes, so that means runes will get some kind of change.
Which
right
is
now, we're not
interesting.
talking about it. Yes.
It's very interesting. I'm kind of curious as to how they're going to handle people who have already ruined their stuff. I don't think they talked about it in here.
I've heard, I believe in MMA there was AMA, sorry.
MMA?
I've been a little MMA focused as well. God damn it. Amazing. But they've mentioned that runes are going to be tweaked somewhere. They're not mentioning them in this deep dive, but there's possible and there's going to be most likely some reimbursement for runes. Kind of like how when we had the chop shop come in, we got like tokens to help rearrange our appearance. I'm assuming it'll be something similar-esque. But stats that don't change.
You're going to actually get a rune currency that you're going to be able to use.
Shut up with that bullshit, bro. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
I love this game.
That technically already exists from contract rewards.
That's also true.
It just doesn't go into its own specific currency place. It just goes into your bag. But it is a currency, and you do use it to get runes. Suck my nuts. That's one extra currency.
So these are stats that the next stats I'm going to talk about, they have not changed in purpose from as they are currently live. Those are critical hit chance and critical hit severity, so 2. Armor pierce, deflect chance, critical hit chance, physical resist, tech resist, magic resist, cooldown reduction, and focus cost reduction.
There's a chart of them up on the stream right now.
Here we go.
It's these ones.
Next 2 stats are actually going to be gained through rating, and I believe when they mean rating, they mean PvP rating, because I don't believe there's a PvE rating, but I could be wrong. The ones that are gained through rating are lifesteal and CC reduction, which are 2 stats you're going to always have more importance in PvP than PvE, at least arguably. Not often are you going to get chain stunned in PvE, but it is possible.
Yeah, definitely CC reduction. I don't know about lifesteal. I've never used it on any of my own characters, mostly because I'm a healer, and if I need the lifesteal as a healer, then
Your Esper had you stacked lifesteal pretty hard on your melee build.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm assuming if you want to have more of that on your gear, it's gonna be gained more through rating and PvP, which is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work. Like, if your rating goes down, do the stats go down?
No. But I shouldn't say no because I don't know for sure. I'm assuming is like the better versions of lifesteal, the higher percentages on the gear and whatnot, will be accessible the higher rating is.
Oh.
So if you do go down in rating, it's not like you can't access them anymore. It just means you won't have the ability to get the higher rating on the lifesteal and CC reduction.
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Maybe. It's a disclaimer tag on our stream right now because this is all disclaimer stuff. We tell you, it's all subject to changes we've always said before.
Yes.
Now, these are the new stats or stats that have new functions. So let me go through these because they're quite a bit. We have strike through. Strike through technically doesn't change at least in this case.
The speed rate doesn't change, but the mechanics do.
The mechanics change. It is now a direct counter to deflect. And if you have more deflect than you do, if you have more strike through than deflect, yeah. So if the strike through is higher than deflect, it then gets turned into armor pierce, which means more damage. It's pretty ridiculous. That sounds kind of cool, having direct counters. There is multi-hit chance and multi-hit severity. Now, these 2 stats have caused a bit of a buzz and questioning about the community. I'm kind of surprised that there's so much curiosity behind it. It seems pretty straightforward. So, multi-hit chance. It's a new stat for all roles, taken directly from the website. Each time a player deals damage or heals an ally, they have a chance to apply an additional time. Basically, every time you hit something or heal something, it could proc again. Think of it like a proc in a MOBA. Every time it has a possible hit, a strike again, like a double strike or something. It's not going to reuse the animation, it'll just reapply the damage. That obviously, the damage will change depending on what effect triggered it, or whatever your multi-hit severity is.
Sure.
It's simply that. People are like, oh, does that mean we're going to have like 4 impales going off at once? I'm like, no. It's just normal impale. But if that impale is a multi-hit chance proc, it'll just hit the damage twice. You'll see the damage take twice.
Right. And then the part of it that kind of allows them to balance it would be multi-hit severity, which is the magnitude of that second hit. So we don't know if that multi-hit severity is going to start at 100% and scale up, or start lower than 100%, which is, this is what I'm thinking. Start lower than 100% and scale up from there. Yeah, that's kind of, I think, how they're going to balance it more than anything else would be the severity.
And Dr. Strange in chat says, kind of like multi-strike in WoW, I'm assuming it'll function similarly to that.
I've never played WoW.
My question is what is the benefit of this versus crit?
Crit will be the big hit. So you hit a person once,
No,
and crit rocks. I mean, what's the benefit of it? I personally like multi-hit better because multiple hits means more continuous damage. I like doing more damage than just hitting spiking things.
But what I'm saying is when you hit once, right? If you hit once, the multi-hit is it's going to happen at the exact same time. It's not like you shoot and then a second later they take damage a second time. They're gonna take that tick at the same time, but they're gonna take it twice, and then there's severity. So my question, reiterating, is what's the difference between multi-hit and then just having crit severity? So you know what I mean?
Yes. Now, to me, this is where I think this is going to change. It's not just
really quick before you keep going. I think the answer to Dr. V Strange's question, does it have a chance to proc per hit or per cast? I think it's per hit. Like, for example, with Medic's Discharge that has 3 ticks, I think it has a chance to apply per tick.
That's what we've been led to believe so far. That could potentially change. I was going to say the same thing. Whereas critical hit severity or critical hit will only happen like per hit. So if you're doing if you're a spell slinger and you do Wild Barrage, it's like 5 hits, right? In the duration of this time period. A critical hit will happen just per tick. It won't happen each time. I believe if it's multi-hit, it's going to be boom, 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 boom.
So,
boom.
and I mean,
boom.
that doesn't matter. The two things that matter were just mentioned in chat. Multi-hit can mean more procs. So, for example, if you have a builder and you multi-hit, does it mean that you get another proc of whatever that builder does? So, for example, Discharge gives you a third of an actuator every tick. If I multi-hit each time for each tick of Discharge, do I get 6/3 of one actuator? So 2 actuators?
That hasn't been fully explained, unfortunately.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. That could be one benefit. The other benefit could be a multi-hit could probably crit. So you hit once and you hit twice and they both crit. That's better than just stacking crit because now you have another chance to crit.
Yeah, it's the concept of having all these different secondary stats is to give players more variety. So if you just want to be that massive big hitter that's just gonna burst the crap out of somebody, like a stalker, you probably want to build more crit. If you're gonna be with someone like an Esper or a Spellslinger who just wants to have more consistent damage and more chance for that, probably multi-hit. I could be wrong. Now, Render in chat says, it's a garbage stat, basically. It's bloat for no reason, and why have severity as a tertiary stat? I'm going to agree to one of those comments. I'm going to agree to having severity, any of the severities, being a tertiary stat. It doesn't make sense to me. I kind of get it. Why we have a chance of a hit and then a severity of a hit. Why not roll them together and then have the values kind of just different? They don't have to be the same value.
I think that is bullcrap. Because I think it's great to be able to have to balance the chance of you getting something versus how good it is when you get it. Like, for example, when I medic, I don't really put crit chance, but I put a lot of crit severity. Because I noticed when I play, I don't get crits that often, but when I do, they tend to always help. No matter what happened, no matter where I am, they always help.
So it's less reliable, but if it does come
it's through, less reliable, but when it happens, it does so much. It just helps me so much. It's just...
See, to me, that doesn't make sense why we had to have 2 stats to that. Wouldn't it just be rolling them into the same stat? That way you can have
but then you don't have to make the choice. I think that's the whole point for adding these stats here is to kind of make the play styles vary. Like at the very beginning of the
gambling
game,
attitude for severity being taken over chance though. It's a big gamble to roll.
It's not. It's really not. I mean, okay, it is, but that's the point. That's the whole idea behind it is that you're supposed to, okay, I'm going to try this thing, and then it doesn't work, and then you tweak it a little, and you kind of try to find the sweet spot. Or, if you're smarter than me, you math, and then figure out what the sweet spot is with math.
I mean, as a stalker, I'm going to tell you, my 3 things that I'm going to be stacking is crit chance, multi-hit chance, and vigor. Those are the 3 things that, as of right now, I'm going to try to.
So you get a chance to play more with it.
Yeah,
right, but now you have 3 things, and you could stack them all evenly, and that could not be the most efficient distribution of.
No, I get that, but what I'm saying is that I would rather crit more often than crit less often, but worth more.
Right.
And theoretically, that number is balanced. You know what I mean?
But where is the point?
So, here we have 2 different thought processes. So Indigo's I'd rather have more reliable chance to keep critting, more consistent damage. And Krug is thinking, I'm cool with it having a low chance to happen, but when it happens, oh lordy, that's gonna smack you in the face.
So I want to address this. Another thing that Dr. V. Strange said in chat, his question was, what percentage will these stats cap out at, and will there be diminishing returns the higher you get with the stat? We don't know.
I was wondering about the diminishing returns as well, because that would make things like Wild Barrage ridiculous.
We don't know the numerical constraints of anything yet. So that's kind of out of the realm of the information they've released as far as we're aware. If anybody else knows differently, please let us know. So
we're doing more of the ideas behind this. Well,
that's all that's available. That's all the information that's available at the moment. We're not choosing to.
correct me if this wrong. If I'm wrong, but a lot of this game, a lot of WildStar, they give you the information, but they don't tell you, like. They don't give you
enough to use it. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, well, not just that, but I mean, even with the past stats, I mean, we've had B-Pulse on, and they've said, no one's got the PvP meta down because it's no one knows it. No one has it like so cleanly organized.
Well, but I think that's just a combination between like the way that people play and the fact that stuff changes on a regular basis. I think it has less to do with the fact that they don't know what the stats do specifically, because you can figure that stuff out. Like, people make little applications that simulate different stat levels and then try to figure out what the most optimal DPS is for a specific encounter. So obviously they know what they do, or else they wouldn't be able to create those applications.
Yeah, but that's PvE specifically. I mean,
right, but the PvP thing has nothing to do with the stats. It's just there are people and they do weird things and you can't predict it. Is pretty much what it is. And there's such a variety and stuff like that.
Because we were because when we had those guys on, they were talking about stats. They were talking about that there is no perfect build for each class because there isn't enough information about the stats out there.
Well, B-Pulse is in chat. He can correct us and we can move on.
Let's move on. So we're like maybe a quarter of the way through the new functioning stats. So Vigor we've already talked about. Basically, the higher your health is, the more damage you do. Optimally, if you're at 100%, you're going to do even more damage, and obviously, as your health goes down, the bonus damage. It doesn't affect your overall DPS. Vigor is just additional bonus DPS. So don't freak out and go, oh my god, that means I'll be doing like 30% of my DPS. Like, no. More Vigor means you'll be doing more extra damage, more fun damage. But if you're lower at health, the extra fun damage does go down.
That would be actually, now that you mention that'd be a super fucking great mechanic for Vigor.
Hell no!
That'd be fucking awesome. Like, it's super OP, but if you take damage, it diminishes below your average, baseline DPS.
No.
Oh, that'd be so good.
In theory, that sounds like fun. In practice,
people would probably complain. But me as a healer, I think that'd be the best.
No, that's the worst, because this is what would happen. You and another player are fighting. Someone chunks a thing of your health out, and guess what? You're just effed. It's basically at that time.
That's why it's only a stalker stat, because stalkers are the ones that can get away, heal up with preparation, and come back.
Who shot first? That's basically what that is.
Yeah, but not everybody would build Vigor.
Okay, well, that's more like a hypothetical thing.
I know.
The chat's like, Krug,
burn in hell.
Somebody in chat told me to burn in hell. Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin your game. Jeez.
So let's move on. We have critical mitigation. So basically, it's going to be a direct counter to critical hit.
Critical hit severity. The third word is important.
Yeah. So not the chance. So you're still going to get hit with the critical hit, but critical mitigation will directly counter how much damage you're going to take from that critical hit.
Right.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, unnecessary damage. Intensity.
No. I'm saying the stat.
Oh, the stat. Mitigation and severity, I feel it could be rolled into the chance, but that's just me. Intensity, we've already talked about, which is the new healing stat. Mostly in endgame gear. You'll start seeing it when you get to, I'm assuming, as early as 49, but definitely at 50. It'll increase the outgoing healing, but also increase the focus cost of those heals. That sounds ridiculous, and we're like, oh man, it's going to suck until you do all your extra balancing with all of your focus regen and whatnot, but later on, we'll talk about some things to help with that. The next
that stat sounds like I'm a lazy healer. I want to push buttons less.
What?
So no.
Sounds like
listen to it.
Okay.
I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna wait till your health is low, and then I'm gonna heal you with one button, and then I do a butt ton of damage, and then I'm gonna wait again until it's low, so I don't have a ton of
Or my name is Krug and my tank is named Indigo, and he just runs ahead of everyone. And so by the time I actually get to him, he's already at a third health, and I need to just chunk him back up.
Anyway,
Yeah, but that's you chunking. That's not like over. Like that's the start of the battle. That's not you.
Look, just let me make a joke about you being a bad tank, and then let us move on. All right? Dude.
Anyway, the next two stats are glance chance and glance mitigation.
I will agree that I don't like this one.
This is a new stat primarily for tanks. At least they're recommending tanks use it. The stat will grant a chance to reduce incoming damage by a percentage defined by the glance mitigation stat, which is basically every time a player triggers glance, the amount of damage is reduced by this percentage.
So it's a percent chance to reduce damage by a percentage.
Yes.
That's too... No.
Another one that I believe sounds awesome in theory. In exercise, I feel like it might be a little too much. I mean, I like the
This
idea
one should
that,
just be rolled up into armor. Like, that's what it should be. They don't need glance as well as armor.
But the idea basically is if you don't deflect it, and you're kind of having issues with keeping yourself alive, increasing your glance chance will help you survive all the insane damage coming into you.
Yeah, but I mean, this goes along with the crit chance and crit severity. It's just the opposite. It's I'm now receiving damage.
But it's not.
And then there's also the critical mitigation. So as a tank, you're sitting there with critical mitigation, glance chance, glance mitigation. You're sitting there and deflect. You're sitting there like, all right, don't hit me. Like, and then armor on top of that, and then health and shield. I mean,
Which
it's just
kind of means that it sounds like all the new stuff coming out is going to be fucking punishing if we're not careful with our stats.
Yeah, and Dr. V Strange, I agree with you. He says seems pointless with deflect rating and reflect rating. Crit mitigation seems like it could have easily been rolled into glance.
Not to mention all the shield stuff happening. And speaking of reflect, there are two new stats called reflect chance and reflect damage. This is basically a stat they recommend that any role can take, and every time a player receives damage, they have a chance to send a percentage of that damage back to the attacker, not just to anybody. And the damage dealt, obviously, is determined by the reflected damage stat, which is basically every time reflect is triggered, that'll determine how much damage goes back. So if you play, as in a quick analogy, if you play League of Legends, if you know the item Thornmail, which is every time you hit by a physical attack, a percentage is reflected back. It's exactly like that. It's a mirror.
Really,
it's a mirror.
If you play any game with any item that has the word thorn in it, you understand this mechanic.
Yeah, it's thorns.
That's just bottom line.
It's thorns. It's like a spell shield. It's anything. It's basically the old D&D concept of, you hit me, I bounce it back. I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever hits me bounces off. Whatever.
So
that was
again.
dumb.
That's what it is.
What is the point of stacking glance when you could sit there and do reflect and reflect chance and reflect damage?
Reflect will probably be lower, base numbers, I guess, and
right,
it'll scale. It'll scale worse. Reflect will probably scale worse.
Honestly,
so if you,
it's got to scale. It's got to scale so badly that it's not worth having. Because no, I'm serious. Because at any chance, if I can guarantee 100% of the damage is getting away, and I only have to put it in one stat versus having to put it into two stats.
Now here's
hold on. Reflect doesn't mitigate damage.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It just
deflect.
reflects the damage back.
I thought it mitigated damage. Sorry, that was me coming to an epiphany.
So you were thinking it reduced it for you and then bounced it back to the attacker. No.
Yes.
It's not like that at all. Like, say, you could use this in PvP and kind of get a little bit of revenge damage back to help you out. Some people are thinking, well, if I roll glance and reflect, those are kind of, it's not really useful. Glance will actually reduce the amount of damage that's coming to you, so you reflect it back. It's Anya K in chat says it's kind of like a threat stat. And I kind of can see that. It's not a stat I would want on DPS, especially not on heals, in PvE. In PvP, probably a different story. But if I'm a tank, I have to choose. Do I want to have deflect and reflect in case I do get hit, or do I want to have glance and armor or a critical mitigation?
I think this is what they want people to start thinking. I think this is the goal. And honestly, I can see reflect being good if you are a super duper health stacked tank, and let's say you have 10 times more health than anybody else, and a spell slinger comes over to you and just assassinates you 3 times and takes 70% of the damage from each of those assassinates and just kills themselves. That would be the best fucking PvP moment ever.
But think of the PvE implications of this too. Say you're an engineer that mostly focuses on armor and health. This reflect would probably make more sense for an engineer than a stalker who doesn't want to get hit. If you're gonna play a tank whose whole job is just be a fucking sponge, you get a decent healer on you and you stack reflect instead of glance. You stack armor, you stack shield reduction. Reflect now becomes much more useful because damage is also equated into threat as well. Not only are you building more threat through your abilities, not only are you building more threat through other aspects of your kit, Reflect includes more damage into that. So if you're going to be a tank and you're going to use Reflect, I probably wouldn't want to run Glance as well. I'd probably just make my deflect stat kind of low, not bump it up a whole lot, get a lot of Reflect, get a lot of armor, get a lot of health. That's one way of rolling. One possible way of rolling.
And
This build
stat
brought to you
just
by
makes it
Doc, not endorsed by QueueTimes.
I would try it. I would legit try it. That sounds interesting.
And this build would be stupid awesome for engineers who are just sitting there taking the damage, healing themselves. Oh, and by the way, as you're doing damage to me, you're dealing damage back to yourself. It just...
I think that's what it's made for. It's. I think it has the potential to be fun. It's not... Okay, can we all agree that it's not as stupid as Glance?
I do agree. Reflect, I feel, is much more useful than Glance is.
I think it's way better than Glance mitigation.
Okay, yeah, okay. Glance mitigation. I think the mitigation should be rolled into chances, and it should be... I honestly think the severity should be rolled into chances as well. That's just me. So we have 2 more stats to go in to round out our 24 statathon. We have focus recovery rate, and the functionality of the stat has changed. Quote, players now recover a percentage of their focus pool every second while in combat. The stat can now be attained through gear as a rating.
As a rating?
So basically, the better your rating is, and that could be whether you're going into GA to Datascape.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what as a rating means. I just don't.
Rating typically applies to PvP.
Yeah, but what if they're using it in a different way? That doesn't make sense. That, like, as a rating doesn't make sense.
I think
honestly, it wouldn't make sense at all because in be 100% honest, 90% of the time in PvP, you don't need focus recovery at all. You need burstiness. You need to be able to dump all your focus in 15 seconds and then die or eat. That's what you need.
Also thinking
it's a PvE. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not talking about arenas or anything. In PvE, that's different. That's completely different. So I don't see them using rating the same way you're thinking of them using rating. I think this is a different term that we're not familiar with.
Exactly. And to round out the last stat, Focus Pool, the functionality didn't change for Focus Pool. The change is that it's no longer a stat with a set amount. So basically, you can just keep adding more and more Focus Pool to your gear. So you could say,
instead of just being able to rune into it, now you can just get a piece of gear that has plus 10 Focus Pool.
Exactly. On top of so basically, you could get more gear with say intensity, and then augment your runes with Focus Pool, or vice versa. The idea being that if you want to just be a healer that just has big chunky heals, that doesn't have to worry too much about recovery rate, or if you're kind of like a one and done kind of healer, you could always focus on intensity and Focus Pool. If you're a healer that knows they're gonna be useful for long fights with tons of damage coming in everywhere, and you got to keep everybody alive, Focus recovery rate would be a primary stat for you as well. So I like the idea. I think a lot of us are in agreement that 24 stats is a lot of stats. They're not all useless, but I think the 3 of us kind of agree that Glance feels the most unnecessary of the lot.
Glance mitigation.
Yeah, so...
Stop. Stop. Why you gotta be confusing about it?
No, because Glance Chance, I get Glance Chance. Glance mitigation is the one that bothers the fuck out of me.
Okay, so for you guys, I have a question for you guys, and I know chat can also, and the listeners can also add in as well later on.
Somebody says, I want 48 stats. No, you stop that.
So, Crew, you first. What do you feel is the most useful stat as of this reading, and what is potentially the least useful stat?
What do I feel is the most useful stat?
What could be the most useful stat?
I'm going to answer a question you didn't ask. What do I think is the most entertaining stat? Would be Reflect. I think that stat's going to add more than anything else. What do I think the most useful stat is? I can't really comment on because I don't know how they're going to scale. I don't know what the base numbers are. I don't know.
Just think about theme and think about possible implementations of the game. Numbers we won't get into until we get into PTR and try it out.
I think the ones that are going to have the most impact are going to be Vigor, Reflect, and potentially... probably just Vigor and Reflect. I think Vigor and Reflect are going to have the biggest impact. depending on how they scale them. Either they're going to underpower them so greatly that people are going to complain and be like, these two things are fucking useless. What did you guys do? Or they're going to be super OP.
Okay. Indigo, what about you?
So, my opinion about the overall stats is that I like it. I like the right. I'm okay with the number, and let me make this clear. Depending on your class, half of these stats aren't going to mean shit to you, so you're not even focusing on that.
Truth.
So as a stalker, I'm not going to care about focus recovery rate, focus pool, intensity. Like, I'm not going to care about those stats.
Right.
Healers will care about those stats.
Right.
And so the healers aren't going to care about some of the other stuff, like glance, or reflect,
Medic
unless reflect worked with healing, which would be super cool, by the way. Like, if I do damage back to people that attack me, if I get healed by you and I reflect healing back to you, so you're healing yourself less.
People in chat, don't be confused. That's probably not the way that's going to work.
That's
Indigo
just-
has
No,
no evidence to the
It's not, because
contrary.
it says the damage dealt, and it does not say healing.
Oh, okay, good.
No, I was just being a brat.
Gotcha. A troll, I think, is the word you were looking for.
Yes. So it seems like a lot of stats, but once you're building your class, you're only going to be focusing on a handful of those actual stats. And since you're not ruining assault or support power, you're not even paying attention to that anymore. You're only paying attention to that when you're selecting an item. So I think that we're seeing this huge pool of stats, and we're thinking, oh my god, this is so much stats. But when you cut it down into pieces and realize, well, shit, I'm only really looking at like 6 stats. You know what I mean? Which is kind of what you're at now. But the difference is that right now in game, it really doesn't matter what your other stats are as you're leveling and stuff like that, as long as you're maxing out assault power or support power as your number one stat. You're just pumping everything you can into assault or support power.
This is the most middle of the road answer I've heard you ever say.
My answer is I like it. My answer is I like it.
No, he did.
That wasn't the question. The question is, what do you feel, thinking about the themes and the ideas behind these stats, would be the most useful and the least useful?
Vigor, as a stalker, and most, what was it? Useful and what?
What potentially could be the most useful and what would be the least useful?
Well, I mean, we all know least useful is glance as a whole, all of glance.
I'm just saying, it could be like, okay, the glance chance will start at 99%, and then you'll have to spec 1% into it, which will be one piece of gear. And then the glance mitigation will start at 85%, and then, like, we don't know. We don't know. They could all be OP.
Be warriors.
Any single one of them.
Be espers. So I guess that could also happen too.
Any single one of them could be the most OP stat in the game, as of right now.
Yes, but we're not basing it off of...
You're just basing it off of flavor. That's what you're basing it off.
Yeah, it's basing off of flavor.
Glance has the worst flavor because it just feels like armor. It feels like unreliable armor.
Okay. As for myself, I'm actually going to add in what Krug said. Most entertaining for me would probably be Vigor. I think it'd be kind of funny just to watch people freak the F out as they go down to 80% going, oh my god, I can't draw my DPS anymore. I need more Vigor. I need more health. Just heal me. I think that'll be the most entertaining stat to see interact with players. I think, personally, flavor-wise, the most useful, I'm going to say intensity. And then for least useful, I'm going to have to agree with Glance. I think Glance... I think Glance can work with warriors more than engineers and stalkers, but as a stat itself, it kind of feels like it could have gone somewhere else. I just don't feel like it's... So moving on with that, I feel that... Do you remember all of the secondary effects on runes we were talking about in beta, where it was like Assassinate, what was it called? I think it was called Assassin or something like that. Or like Focus Power or something like that. They all had, like, the runes had secondary power stats we see on them whenever we look at it. Yes. Like, if you get 8 of this kind of rune, you get this kind of extra ability to it. Uh-huh. They were really, really strong in beta, and then there was enough talkback of a negative variety. They're like, oh, they're too OP, and they just kind of nerfed them to the ground, and we don't even really think about the extra abilities they do. It's useful to get an extra 8% damage, but we don't really think about it anymore. At least a lot of us don't. Number crunchers will, and you do, Krug. I kind of feel that this is what could potentially happen with a lot of these stats. I feel like a clever player, a clever nefarious. I say it's nefarious. They will say, "Oh, I don't like the fact that if I'm gonna hit somebody, I'm gonna get reflect damage back, and I could die. That's stupid. So what I'm gonna do? This is also kind of like way out there. I could see players going, "Oh, reflect is too strong. It makes a game unbalanced and whatnot," and then they're like, "Yes, excellent. Nerf reflect, so I can do more damage with my critical hit severity." I feel like something like that could happen through PTR.
So
and that could ruin certain stats.
That kind of leads to what I was thinking about the overall change that's happening with all these new stats, which again, like the concept, but they've had problems with balance in the past, like consistent problems with balance, and like flavor of the month always being a thing, and not only being a thing, but being a really, really strong thing. Like when a class becomes flavor of the month in WildStar, it is the flavor. Like, yeah, it is OP.
Yeah,
I've never
like
really
a 10v10,
seen,
and 18 of them
like
are the medic.
Back at launch, yeah, exactly. Back at launch, when medic healing was still like stupid strong, and I could literally heal Indigo and Doc, just the three of us, through an entire Walatiki Temple opposing team. Like, that's the kind of flavor of the month that WildStar has sometimes. I'm worried that this new set of stats will be harder to balance because, one, they don't have the experience with it. They're going to do a closed beta, which is a little scary to me. They're probably going to send it into open beta at some point, I'm going to imagine, just because why would they not, with such drastic math changes. And there's a lot of them, and I think that's going to make it a lot harder to balance. You have a lot more variables in your math. It's going to be a lot harder to make the equation make sense. Mm-hmm. So I kind of think that's the end result of this whole thing is that. Or they can prove me wrong and fucking bring it. Like, seriously, just prove me wrong. I will come on this stream and be like, yep, I was a total fucking idiot. They got this on lock. Ignore everything I say for the rest of forever.
So let's move on with the rest of the strange tales from the week. There is something cool happened. CRB Downtown started a daily quest feedback thread on the subreddit r/Wildstar.
Hold on. Really quick.
Okay. Okay.
We're going to post show notes. In the show notes, there's going to be a link to the stat deep dive. There's a section called Why Use Critical Mitigation When There's Deflect Critical Hit. Go ahead and read through it. They'll talk about their ideas behind that.
There's more information.
Difference.
There's also more information on the AMA as well. They did some breakdowns on the AMA as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the forums come back, which we'll get into in a little bit, they will also talk about that more as well.
Right.
So CRB Downtown on the subreddit said, "Hey guys, here's the thing. They got some fresh post-Invasion Nexus release content, and they want to get some feedback on it. So he asks a few simple questions. What are your favorite dailies and why? What are your least favorite and why? What mechanics do you want to see more of, and what mechanics do you want to see less of? To be clear, this is feedback pertaining to daily quests found throughout WildStar, but we want to take into account changes that occurred, new dailies, quality of life adjustments, blah, 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 when Invasion Nexus was released and anything that followed." So if you haven't seen this yet, I think there's about 80 some odd comments on there.
83.
If you have the time, kind of skim through it and give your own opinion, because obviously the more opinions that we have, like this show, like other podcasts, like the subreddit, like the forums, the better the game can get, especially with daily quests, because people in games, especially MMOs, have a weird relationship with daily quests. They want other ways of advancement, but they don't want to run into the rut of, oh, a daily quest is always this kind of quest. It's always this kind of thing. It's always that kind of thing. So look at the daily quest feedback thread and give them your opinions, because that will help them see, what is hitting with the WildStar community, what's not landing on it, what's wrong with the contracts, because they're technically dailies in there as well. The tier 1s can be done multiple times, and the tier 3s are all dailies in a sense as well. So I'd say give that a shot. I think it's more like an alert for you guys than for us. We kind of talk about those things quite a bit, or often enough, at least for our opinions to be known.
Yep.
So, now that we're at 5:45, I, Indigo, have to leave. So I wish you guys to have a wonderful remainder of the show.
Can we put like something completely obscene that still within TOS over his face?
Is a naked dick in TOS?
No.
Oh, he's actually like leaving, and now I'm gonna have to redo our windows.
Yes.
Because.
So while you do all of that, so while Krug reformats for the video crowd, I'm gonna keep talking. So the WildStar forums went down a few days ago, and as of this recording, like right now, as of 5:45 p.m. on Sunday the 26th, they're still down. Now, people have been noticing warning posts, some of them when they log into the forums, and Carbine brought it down for what they say are security reasons. They haven't said why, And I would have to assume, based on the recent string of like DDoS attacks and compromises in security, people with their information being taken from them, other websites, that they probably had some issues and said, you know what, instead of trying to fix it while it's still live and run into an issue, we're just gonna bring it down, apologize, and we'll let you guys know when it's back up. Also, Dr. V Strange, never too much for me. Never too much me. I am everything. I'm omniscient.
You're literally taking up almost the entire screen. I'm working on it.
So the Wildstar forums are down, guys. I do apologize. Any links you get up until maybe next week, hopefully they'll be up by then. It just means you'll have to rely on other sources of community news or other sources like the Wildstar subreddit. So if you don't like the subreddit, kind of that's where all the news and cool community stuff is happening for a little bit. And speaking of the community, we're going into the strange tales of the community. So last week we talked about the scavenger hunt being taken over by Mistakes Were Made. They made a mention on Friday, hey, it started at 5:30, and what they actually did was it took place in Ilium. It was Dominion only, and it was going to be hosted by the guild. Third place got 9 plat, second place got 15 plat, first place got 30 plat, and they actually have images and screenshots from the event. So we're going to put those up when we have the chance on the video.
I'll talk about it because I'm super cool. I'm multitasking.
So Cleo Elson was the organizer, which is the very first image, and we talked about some of the winners. So third place, it was a team of 3, Vit, McCheerios, and Cassius. McCheerios, it's an awesome name. Anyway, second place was Otto, Landfear, and Flashlight. Also kind of a funny name. And first place was Savio, which that name sounds familiar, and Boat Eye, not Bloat Eye. That's a weird name. Boat Eye. It's like Trash Boat, but not as cool. Savio. Why does that name sound familiar? Was that the name
you're talking about?
The guy the team that won first place, one of the characters is Savio. Isn't Savio the first Dominion character to get artifact weapons?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't remember names that well.
I think it is, but either way, congratulations to all 3 teams. We just wanted to extend that congratulations to it. We're gonna skip over this one because it's on the forums, and the forums are down. iDestinia put out a new video called Vitaro Station, which I'm gonna look through with you guys because I totally blanked out on what this thing is and why is there audio playing. That hurts my ears.
Sorry,
that hurt my ears a lot. No, it was my own ears. It's basically a space station. It kind of looks like something that's not out of place in Farside, or I think it's like Area 52 in World of Warcraft. It's got its own little biomes for health and a lot of Elven tech kind of ruins, and think of it like an overgrowth, like an abandoned space station. It's really cool. It was created by Androscat Vitaros on Jabbit Exiles. So if you get a chance, if you're in the EU server and you get a chance to check this out, Androscat Vitaros. Well, the name will be in the description of the video. I just wanted to give this one a shot because honestly, as iDestinia is traveling through from place to place in Vitaro Station, you actually get a peek of the outside, and it looks like it should be a secret base located in Farside. It's kind of cool. It even has a docking bay for vehicles and whatnot. It's pretty sweet. I do enjoy that. Once again, housing never ceases to not amaze me on what they can do.
That's not wrong. Housing never ceases to make me upset with my lack of talent in housing. I think is basically my opinion on that whole matter.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So did you already finish the video thing, or my beard still taking up a giant?
No, we're good. You should be fine.
I wonder if I should shave the beard, or at least trim it.
That's a post-show question, Broham.
That is true. We have 2 more things to talk about, and we just wanted to go over this. Twitch streamer Kodenki, that's how you want to say it, I think. He actually put a call to arms out on the Wildstar subreddit a few days ago saying, hey guys, if you have a Chua, I want to talk to you. I want to do an all Chua GA raid team. Not an official team, like it would be a guild and everything out. It was just a call to arms for all Chua that were raid ready. And they did a brief raid earlier today on that. And I caught a little bit of it, and it was kind of cool. I think half the raiding team was naked, at least like what you saw.
As Chuas normally are.
It's kind of weird seeing naked Chuas running around killing things. A little disturbing, and luckily not for me. For some people, it'd be a little arousing. It's just them. If they like RN, I wouldn't see Chua not be the same.
Toeing the line of TOS.
Hey man, it's weirdness. I'm not the one with the naked Chua running around. They are.
Well, maybe you should be.
Supposedly, Kodenki got some flack for it. Like, people were saying some shit, and I didn't see it in the stream. The 5 minutes I was there, I thought it was kind of
shit for what?
I guess just the fact that it was not a typical raid team. It wasn't like a normal raid or whatever. It was a Chua only, and Chua are evil and they suck and they're not cool. They're not like Mordash.
That's dumb. I don't understand that at all.
I don't quite get the flack for it.
Let people have their fun. If you're not interested, then don't watch.
Exactly. It's what we say too, is put up or shut up. If you didn't like it and you thought there was, I want to do a regular raid where anybody can come, then put on a regular raid so anybody can come.
Right.
Koeki thought it'd be fun to do a themed raid of all Chua, and they all showed up and they had fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's
what
you got to do in most games is show up and have fun. And then if people complain, you ignore it and then continue to show up and have fun. That's what I do.
So I know Celeste Arnett says no one likes to be left out. I understand that, but it was just a zany idea for fun. I remember there was guilds in World of Warcraft with like all warlocks, or just recently there was a group of all Death Knights running through dungeons. Like, just because a hunter couldn't get on it doesn't mean they're like locked out of the fun. It's weird. I don't know why they're giving them flack for it. I think it was a fun, novel idea, and at least for the moment, I would like to see more themed raids for people that are up for it and can do it. Like an all Mordash raid would be kind of funny. Be some like weird interactions players could have with it, or some weird lore reasons. Someone was RP and wanted to do that. So, and Celeste says, we was in an all-priest raid when they killed Onyxia in 40-man days. Holy crap. Whatever. That's I don't know how you would do an all-priest raid on a 40-man raid.
I know what that means.
So, priests in WoW only have 2 healing specs and 1 DPS spec, so no tank specs. Imagine 40 priests killing the hardest raid boss in the game.
That sounds super, easy. Is there such thing as focus or an equivalent in WoW?
Mana.
Is it, super hard to maintain mana throughout long fights?
In the early days, I think it was fairly difficult.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
And she says, as a follow-up, dots. This is lots of dots. We don't have, because priests are squishy as hell. Like, you could sneeze on them and they fall over like a European soccer player going, "Ow, my priestly ankle! They hurt so much."
My priestly ankle. Nice.
But let's move on, because I did promise a need, greed, and pass on an add-on that we mentioned last week. So, Krug, I have to ask you: did you have a chance to try out Speedy QT?
I did not.
Okay, so I got a chance to try out Speedy QT for about 3 to 4 days this week. So I'm only going to give you an impression of what I thought, and take in mind, add-ons or your mileage may vary, especially in the case of Speedy QT. So when you download Speedy QT, it's on Curse. You basically download it, install it, and that's it. So what Speedy QT does is it runs in the background. It has no settings. It has one very specific task it does. It disables the objective tracker and quest tracker refresh. So normally in live, if you look at your objective tracker and quest tracker, you might see quests pop in and pop out. What's happening is the game is using resources to refill the list, refill the queue.
Yeah, or reorder it based on your location. Basically muck with it.
Exactly. And players were saying, hey, that's a cool idea, but my computer's not terribly strong, or it's messing with my performance and I want to be able to play this game as silky smooth as possible. And after a while, those resources were having major issues on gameplay. So what Speedy QT basically did was just disabled it. So the trade-off is you don't get a nice, clean, organized quest objective tracker. You just get every quest you haven't hidden or pinned.
Yep.
They all show up. That's on your whatever you have showing and unpinned. For me, it's a simple trade-off. I'd rather have better performance and just deal later with the extra bloats. I can always minimize a list of things. I don't have to have challenges up.
That's why I didn't really feel the need to try it, is because I don't have any performance problems. So, I mean, that trade-off means a lot to me because I'm not getting anything in return.
Exactly. Now, that's actually my big thing with Speedy QT. Speedy QT is great if you're having performance issues or if your PC's down on the high-end spectrum, because what it'll do is it'll free up those resources in the game to use for other things. So my recommendation, with a few of the add-ons we had in the past, are going to fall into a split, and for 2 different reasons. I want to say first and foremost that an option like Speedy QT should be available in-game. The ability to turn off the refresh, the processes going into add-ons without having to personally go into add-ons and disable them, I think it should be a click. Kind of like how you say, you have to hold for long cast spells or whatever crap like that. It should be an option that says disable refresh, boom.
So just more like performance optimization options as opposed to them hard coding performance optimizations in.
That we have to go searching through it and accidentally disable your RAID frames. And you're like, I didn't want to disable that. Pay attention.
Yeah, that would suck.
So my verdict is this. It's going to be 2. I'm going to say Speedy QT is a need if you're running a PC that's having problems with performance, or you just can't stand the fact that the objective tracker keeps popping in and out and refreshing. It's phenomenal for performance. You actually do notice the performance. I didn't notice a massive one, but I noticed it.
Like, that's the important part, for sure.
Yeah. Enough for, like, my PC, my laptop is one of the best laptops on the market right now. I spent good money on it. My lifestyle focuses on it. You know what, crew? You'll be happy to know that starting this September, I'm going to be putting money towards building a proper gaming streaming station.
High five!
Because that's the goal. But the laptop serves my purposes for life right now, and I play WildStar on it, I stream on it, I do the show on it, and it does the job admirably. It doesn't give me many issues. So for me, Speedy QT isn't a need, it's more of a greed. It's helpful if you have a PC like mine or a laptop like mine that's powerful enough to not to worry about it, and if you just don't care enough, it's not a huge deal if your performance is great. But like I said, if you're playing a PC like a lot of players are, they don't have the money or resources to have a high-end PC. I think Speedy QT is a need because it will help. I think the trade-off of a better functioning game and an overall better experience far outweighs the fact that there's just a little more or a little less on your objective tracker.
So I didn't try this because I don't have any issues to try it against. So, I mean, my opinion's kind of invalid regardless. But here's my thing. I'm going to give it a pass for the following reason. Performance issues in anything that's related to a computer, and I've learned this from troubleshooting performance issues on computers on a daily basis. That's like my entire job. Is super, super difficult to pin down globally. Unless there's like an egregious problem, it's really hard to figure out exactly why an individual isn't getting the performance they expect. So, that having been said, greed, because it might not...
You said pass and then greed and then pass?
I meant greed. This whole time I've been meaning to say greed. So if I said anything else, I meant to say greed. And the reason I say that is, try it, see if it works. If it works, keep it. And if it doesn't, don't. Like, that's kind of where I'm at. You don't need it. It's not something that's like mandatory. Every person doesn't need to have this add-on because, again, you might not have performance issues like me, or it might not fix your performance issues. Your performance issues might be bandwidth related or CPU related or like any number. Well, this would help the CPU thing potentially, but maybe it's not enough. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many ways to fix performance issues, and this is just one tool in your arsenal to do that with. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think that makes sense perfectly.
Greed, go give it a shot if you're having those issues. If it helps you, congratulations. If it doesn't, try something else.
Oh well.
Move on with your life.
Yeah. And I just want to know...
Get a better computer. A desktop, not a laptop. Sorry, I had to shove one more in there.
Yeah, just dig the dagger a little deeper. Hey, you know what? We've been doing this show for over a year, and it's all been on laptops. So just say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna point you back towards episode 6, where we had to insert a disclaimer that said, "Sorry for the shitty audio quality, Doc's computers," and then once every other episode, we'd have to, "Oh, sorry for the shitty audio quality, Doc's computer's broken. Oh, sorry for the shitty audio quality."
Don't know what you're talking about. No, not at all. No.
Yep.
Yeah, desktop. Yeah. So I just have to comment this before we start our closeout and go into a little bit of a post-show people that want to show up and ask more questions. What image did you put on Indigo's face?
Pizza's life. I don't know. I just Googled neckbeard and that's what came up, and so I put it there.
Oh my god.
Welcome to the internet.
I want to do a quick shout out before we do into our roll up and wrap up and go into post show briefly, because I know we both have engagements. Or at least I know I do, so I can't stay super long.
I'm actually going to stay and stream, so if anybody wants to chill with me for a while and stream, I'm going to be playing Skyrim.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not important for the podcast, which we're still in the middle of.
The important part is Cadium showed up on Wildcast this week.
Yes.
I want to do a specific shout out to Wildcast. Yes. And again, because last week I didn't quite explain it, Nexus Now, which is Jazzy Gaming's new show, I was the first guest on it. I was a little hesitant to mention it last week because I didn't want to pimp myself up that much, but the show is basically, it's her. I just showed up on it, so I do apologize, Jazzy. But more importantly, go check out Nexus Now. Go check out Wildcast. There's more talk with KDM on it. But as for us, for STOS in episode 55, Krug, where can we find you?
You can find me at KrugQT on Twitter. That's my new Twitter handle. I'm no longer at Strange Tales. That account does not exist anymore. It is now at KrugQT. So that's where you can get a hold of me on Twitter. You can also find me at QueueTimes. You can email me at admin@QueueTimes.com or Krug@QueueTimes.com. That's QueueTimes.com. And go check out the site while you're, typing in the word QueueTimes. Why don't you just put it in that little search bar and go click on a few articles.
And I'm just going to say, keep an ear out the next few weeks because we still have stuff to give away too.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, we should have set that up for this week. Stuff. That was my bad. I was too busy doing the stream thing. But next week,
kind of crazy.
We'll set it up for next week.
Watching, and if you're listening, start showing up at 5 p.m. PST every Sunday night because Strange Tales from Outer Space is going to start giving away some more stuff. We have box codes. We have t-shirts, we have plushies, and we got to give them away somehow.
Truth.
Just saying. As for myself, Doc, you can find me on Twitter is the best way to communicate with me, at DocQT. As for Indigo, you can find him at IndigoJonesQT on Twitter. And I believe you can email him at indigo@QueueTimes.com. There we go. This is Strange Tales from Outer Space, episode 55.
55! Girlfriend's age?
I have
55. 55. It's a song. Get better at the internet. Keep going with the outro. We're almost there.
I'm with you this week, Krug.
I'm Krug. Bye.
Fuck Indigo, and I'm Doc. Have a good night, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, please feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Also, please check out the annotations below for more videos. Bye.